Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the WORX Plus TechTalk podcast. Today, we are joined with someone who, if you've been listening, you've been watching, you already know, Hayden McDonald. Hayden, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Josh. Seems you have a few of these now.
Yeah, talk about some waffling, eh?
That's right.
So the announcement's out there. Everyone knows. And so I wanted to drag you back in here, talk a little bit about, I guess, the story leading up to the announcement. And we've shown a few things. We've spoken about a few of the historical things in key concepts, pro grind, and all that sort of stuff. And now we're officially doing something that's a new chapter. But there's kind of a few pages in between that aren't talked about yet.
Can I just say, I'm glad I can talk about this now. It's a load off my mind.
You feel like you're not living a lie?
Tell me about it. It's been, it's good.
All right. So in the announcement, we said there's been going on for over 6 years.
Correct.
And if you were to put a finger on it, when would you say officially it really got moving?
Look, it would have been, and this is very early when I started here, I reckon. Husqvarna had released the Gen 1 in the RC.
Yep.
And it had been out probably I reckon a year before I started here.
Yeah. Okay.
Off the top of my head. And we noticed that we had quite a lot of customers that were basically having brand new machines. Not even wasn't even delivered to them. They were having it shipped straight to us, so that we could check over it, do upgrades, all sorts of things to these machines. So it was, I guess, in a way, there was kind of this push even back then from people going, "Oh, well, yeah, you guys made the original of this. Can you tell me if I need anything else done to this?" It's like a brand new machine is coming in, going, "Hey, can you add this? Can you do this?" Simple things like kits, like as simple as it sounds, wasn't an option anywhere else. So again, the innovation of just having options and things for people to do on their machines, even back then, was kind of, I guess, the very, very beginning of it was, people were asking us to play with their brand new machines. So and that entailed moving into putting big blocks on, all that sort of stuff. So, as you imagine, you've got this brand spanking machine in a crate, turns up here, basically gets torn apart to have a big block put on it, because that was the kind of performance they were wanting to have out of the box.
Yeah, right.
So I guess in essence, really us doing that was kind of the very first position of, there might be something here, everyone wants something like this. So, but it was probably really the push of, when the Gen 2 came out, was probably more from our side, or from my side, I should say, when the idea of we really probably need to think about doing something with this. The wheels were already spinning back then. There's no doubt about that. We'd played around with a few things early on, but that was just for internal curiosities and other reasons. It wasn't with this direct intention to build a machine. So. When the Gen 2 came out, and there wasn't really a lot you could do to those.
So just to clarify, Gen 2 is 698.30.
Correct. Yeah. Unlike the 680 820, where you can put a big block, you had all these light kits options, the drives, were big enough to handle these things, and an operator could basically get an edge over another business from a performance aspect if they had that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really a push from customers at that point. Was when the 690 came out, it's like, we had people as soon as they came out, "Oh, did you do a big block yet? Can we get a big block on these yet?" It's like, unfortunately, we can't. Mm-hmm. Again, just they were chasing, and obviously, a lot of smaller issues around these machines. And if I could get $1 for every time someone said to me, "Can you guys just make a machine?" I probably wouldn't need to work. I'd be in the Bahamas somewhere. Like it's, it really was a push from our customer base saying, guys, all the problems, what we're facing, please fix it, help us. Probably all that time ago, 7 years ago, we were already toying with, I guess, smaller parts of that, but never with the intention of doing a complete machine at that point.
Yeah. Okay. So 7 years ago, what were you playing with?
Machines or
Yeah, well, you said you were playing.
Oh, okay.
You weren't really committed to a timeline, and
Yep.
I guess there wasn't as much pressure in the industry back then to have something. At that time, you had the 820 and the 680 RCs.
Yep.
Still the original platform,
Mm-hmm.
a robust machine as far as the head is concerned. As you mentioned, you could do a big block upgrade while retaining the same electronics.
Yep.
The drives and all that sort of stuff could cope with it, and the mechanically could cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were doing a lot of, however, doing a lot of repairs with wheel drives and that type of thing.
That's right.
Shafts.
Yep. So look, we played around with a few alternate motors and setups, to try and alleviate that issue, but it was very costly. There was major changes. It moved away from, call it OEM, which some people are more than happy to just drop something and go, hey, yeah, I'd rather put yours on there because I know it's going to work and it's not going to break, or the parts are available, whatever it might be for their reason. Other guys kind of wanted to sit on that fence and go, if you can fix it, that'd be great, but I don't really want to change it because I don't want to get stuck as well on the other side. There was a bit of uncertainty in there.
There was also the prospect of losing warranty, right?
Yeah, for
losing
sure.
support.
For sure. And again, that whole brand new machine rolling up to us, I'm not going to say it surprised me, but I was looking at it going, that's a commitment right there.
Yeah.
And again, these customers were, wouldn't say just WORX Plus customers, but they were definitely, committed customers of ours that they knew what they wanted. But look, earlier than that, playing around, we played around with different amounts of heads under machines, different weight machines. We started playing around with drive technology back then, but probably more in the sense of like vacuums and things, just trying to get a feel for what else was out there, what had moved. Because again, the drives in the Gen 1s, they're a 25-year-old drive at the end of the day. So when you look at any other industry 25 years ago, cars, everything, like nothing's the same.
We expect things to move along a bit.
Yeah. So it was kind of look at this industry in the same way that 25 years has gone past, and yes, some stuff's changed, but not a whole lot. The technologies that are out there, and a lot of the manufacturers are having to use new stuff because their suppliers don't have the old stuff anymore. We've been really lucky with the Varcon drives that they've still been around until recent. Like I can't believe it.
You say we've been really lucky. I think they've been really lucky.
They have, yeah. Well, both. I think both. Because
just keep on making this old
exactly
technology, and don't have to pay for any new technology, and just keep living off the old investment.
That's right.
Pretty good run for them.
It is absolutely. So, but again, it just proves how good the drive was. That's the other thing, and that also, I guess, falls into newer technology. Is going to sound really old here, but it's built different. In a way, like newer technologies, they're great, a little bit more temperamental compared to that old stuff. Just the way of the world. But you've got to keep that in mind when you're looking at building a machine or doing something with that you are using the right stuff. So there's a lot of chasing, a lot of and without getting your hands on some of this stuff all the time. Like there was a period there during working on all this, we couldn't get our hands on a frequency inverter for over 18 months.
Wow.
So here we are going, hey, we're at this step now in the machine, but we couldn't get anything. Like nothing was around. Obviously that was during COVID. But it was absolutely amazing that we literally would just scratch around and go, okay, well who's got something we can try? Anyone, come see us, tell us what you've got. But no one, very few companies had availability of stock at that time, which again plays into a little bit as to how it's taken this long. Is we had a few big hurdles that we've had to get through along the way as well. Yep. So, but it's can't believe it's been that long. If I'm honest, I mean I've the amount of customers that have probably walked in while I'm testing something or walked past things as they're coming in and out of WORX.
Give me some examples of what people have just walked in front of in plain sight. They didn't realise that there was something in the works here.
Well, at one point in the previous factory, I didn't realise that we had our prototype head had been put together, and it was meant to be in the factory over the road. and it was sitting on a pallet in the main entry up top for about a week, I reckon. So
Really?
I don't know if people actually saw it or not, but no one quizzed me on it. Numerous things like that. I mean, even testing drives. At one point, we were in the new factory. We were under the mezzanine. We had tarpaulins up and all sorts. And I had to pick and choose the hours I was working to work on this thing. It was interesting. It was good. It was real secrecy there. But hard.
Right. Okay. And do you think anyone saw it?
I think a couple of people might have seen it, probably not known what it was. I have no doubt someone at some point saw it and I went, that's just some customer's bought it. I don't know what it is, So I'm sorry to all of you who have had that excuse given.
I've got this picture here from 2017 on Instagram. This is very early days of WORX Plus, really, because I'm still running the Instagram page at this point. And there's this post here of a machine, and there's something not normal about this machine. I mean, it's one of the first big blocks around. People who are familiar with that may recognise that there's a big block on this thing, and we really weren't doing any big blocks in 2017 for other people, and they didn't even take off that quickly when we first started doing them either. But this picture just looks like an 820 with the big block, but there's something else going on, isn't there?
If it's the machine I'm thinking of, how many heads did it have?
This is the Tasmanian 820.
Tassie Devil.
Yeah.
Look, we've for all those guys out there that have the 3-head, 4-head conversation. Well, we can put this one to rest. We tried 6. We did.
The 6-head machine.
Yeah.
Why that as a concept? And
why not?
Is the new machine a 6-head? It doesn't look like it.
It's not. It's there's enough. There's enough under there. It doesn't need 6. It's going to be enough.
So 6-head. The idea behind the 6-head. I mean, I like that machine. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Look, I got to say, the 6-head was initial. The concept of that was just before I started. Yep. So the reason for it, I'm not entirely certain why. I know why to try it. Again, the whole 3-head, 4-head conversation. Look, a part of it is probably trying to get as much of your tool into sort of the outside of the machine and keep your gaps in between your discs low, and that way you get even coverage over the floor and things like that. Look, it was a nice machine. Probably didn't quite run as well as we thought it might, but look, it could have seen the light of day. It wasn't that bad.
You have a real aversion to this machine. I love this machine. I feel like, I like the 800, the 4-head machine, you don't like it. It's just because it gets over 3. Is that as much as you can handle?
No.
Because I really like this 6-head machine. That's it. I'm going to get Kurt ran that machine. I'm going to get him in here and talk about it. I think he's going to be more fond of the 6-head than what you were. What's the aversion to the 6-head machine, which I really liked?
Oh, look, I mean, there's no real aversion. It's just it didn't tick all the boxes.
Which boxes did you have?
At that point when you're starting to play with technology, you got to think at that point it was probably a concept almost to be going under like a Kev at that point.
It was.
So you're talking a big meters machine, and for that it probably would have worked. But again, investment, building all these, there's a lot of parts in them, a lot of big parts. The other one was an expense, but also things like the belt tracking on it was, you didn't get as much belt wrap on each pulley. It was you had to have a lot more idlers and things around it to try and get the wrap. So it was a pros and cons side of that.
So it's also a very complex machine.
Yeah,
expensive to make, very complex.
So. But look, I didn't mind it. It just, I think it was when it was on uneven floors, it didn't like it as much. Kind of like the 4-heads versus 3-head, though. Yeah, they tend to bounce around a bit more.
Wasn't a typical what you'd imagine to be a 6-head machine. You'd think 820, it gets 6 820 discs underneath, and evenly spaced. The 6-head machine actually had smaller discs close together, kind of grouped in a triangle configuration.
Correct.
Trying to maintain some of that tripod terminology, but failed. I like that machine.
I'd like to say it's around here somewhere, but I don't think so.
I don't know why you have a disdain for that machine. For those who are listening, I've been trying to uncover the whereabouts of this prototype machine for quite some time, and Hayden is adamant it got thrown out. It's gone.
I just have a really good hiding spot. But think, Josh, if we had have gone down that avenue, we wouldn't be where we are now. Things would be totally different. Well, you might not be on that side of the table.
Why not?
Oh, who knows?
Yeah, all right.
6 heads. I mean, who?
All right, then. So that was a concept that apparently got thrown in the bin. I'm going to have a good look around.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. Yeah. So while we're on the 6-head machine, Josh, obviously the concept was before I started.
Mm.
What drove wanting to do that?
Yeah. Okay. Far out. So yeah, okay. So like you alluded to before, part of the program was making those 6-head machines for BKs.
Yeah.
They were the only machines that we were making at the time ourselves.
Yep.
But I guess what led to that was something else anyhow. And I guess the easiest way to explain it is like this. We've talked about, you've spoken about, I guess, a underlying reluctance to build a machine, to now that you feel like there's a lot of pressure to build a machine. And it's a similar type of scenario for us. When we first opened up WORX Plus, as we've mentioned in other podcasts, it wasn't exactly what we intended to do, and then we got some momentum happening. It was like, yeah, okay, so all right, now we'll do this, and we were pretty happy with selling tooling and chemicals of our own, and we really liked the machine that Husqvarna was selling. It was our own design,
mm-hmm.
And so we originally wanted to sell those machines also. But at the time in Australia, all machine sales were done direct through Husqvarna. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any distributors or resellers like they do these days.
Yep.
So everything was bought direct. So that would be a new endeavour for them, which they hadn't done before.
Mm-hmm.
And so we approached them about doing that, and there's a couple of reasons why we approached them. One is that we wanted to continue to be able to supply to our customers, and the same for you and me. We've got customers that we like to buy from, or sorry, not customers. We've got suppliers that we like to buy things from, that we choose to buy things from for whatever reason that might be, even though we can get the same the same part or the same goods from one store that we can the other, but we, for whatever reason, we're motivated to buy it from a different store or a different supplier. And that's no different in this game. And so we had customers who wanted to be able to buy the machine from us and not from where it was available from at the time. And so what we started doing was we actually started to import them from somewhere. And the dollar was good enough at the time, the exchange rate was good enough at the time that we could actually import them and sell them minimal margin on the product, but the customers were able to buy them from us, and we were able to support them with the whole package, machine, tooling, all that stuff, also support them with servicing.
So that was before I started.
That was the moonshining before you started.
That explains, why customers really kept saying to me, "Can't I just buy it from you?" I never knew that was the case. Continue, Josh.
Well, so that happened for a few years that we were bringing in machines and selling them exactly the same to machines, and so anyhow, that's what we were doing, and we didn't really like it, having to do it this way, because we thought that we could have a relationship and work together, and we knew the machines inside out. And in our minds, it was like, well, who's better to support the machines than those who know them inside out?
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually then approached Husqvarna, and we had a bit of a relationship back then.
Yep.
And anyhow, we approached them and said, hey, look, this is what we think. People obviously were already importing them at the time, and people want to buy them from us. We just thought it would be a whole lot better if we were buying them out of the Australian market. The other thing is too, we understand how that business model works, and if we're selling machines into the Australian market, that's not supporting the Australian business, and so those machine numbers aren't getting counted here.
Yeah,
and we kind of think that they should be because they're coming into this market. So we actually said, hey, look, can we actually sell the machines, buy them wholesale through the Australian division and continue to work selling those machines? If there's, the scenario like we just covered before, somebody doesn't want to buy them from here, they want to buy it from you, whatever, that's always going to happen. People want to have a choice.
Yeah.
They don't want to be told that you can only buy something from one place. And so we proposed that. And that was actually an interesting one because that was our proposal to buy or to resell in Australia, to be the first distributor for surface prep in Australia, was actually approved at a global level, so at the headquarters. But that was shut down somewhere else locally, despite the fact that we already knew from other. I mean, we've worked in this company for a long time, so we knew a lot of people inside the business, and they had told us, hey, that was approved, and then we were told later on locally that was shut down. So that was kind of that was disappointing for us because, like I said, we were quite comfortable with selling that machine and not having to build one. It's a lot goes into.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you think if that had gone through, do you think you would be building a machine today?
No. No.
I'm kind of glad that didn't happen because I wouldn't be here.
I think you probably still would be, actually. There was quite a disappointing blow, to be honest with you, because we just thought, hey, this is a relationship that's going to work. And we sold King Concepts to that company, and we actually really enjoyed that company and thought it was a good company as well. So to be able to, a brand that we believed in and a vision that we believed in globally for them, to be able to be part of that in some way or fashion, we liked the idea, but that obviously they had different ideas at a local level. And so the other thing that happened shortly after that was the dollar exchange rates were changing as well, and it was becoming more and more unfeasible to bring them in. And I guess also the enthusiasm for doing that and supporting that brand also died out a bit after that decision too. And knowing that was going to come to an end at some point anyhow. So it kind of that was kind of a push. We've had that same feedback almost from the time that the doors opened, that I just want better from my machine here. I need those mods done and that kind of stuff. And for obvious reasons, when you're trying to support a machine globally from a big company, having to do upgraded mods on the individual basis, you think about the complexities of warranties and all that sort of stuff. That becomes really difficult. So it's a lot easier just to keep everything the same for everyone. So I completely understand that. We basically just became a mod shop where we modified everything that was already existing, but we've always got that restless. The lazy.
The lazy
we've always got that restlessness inside of us that just wants to push for more. And then the RC came out, and that was like, that's great, but we still wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we could see more potential, and we just became, I guess, uncomfortable with the fact that, one, we don't have a machine to sell. We can see there's more potential here, and I guess we're truly independent now. We're kind of just on our own, and you're still getting requests, and then you kind of start to feel like you're not really giving the full support.
Yep, to the industry
that you can.
Yep.
Far out, that was a rabbit hole.
That was a good one though.
Yeah. Here's an interesting fact. Might upset a few people, but ProGrind actually had the very first Radio Control 820 in Australia.
Oh.
It was here before Husky had theirs in stock. that upset a few people, but by that point, the bridges had been burned, and we were a bit cheeky, I guess, by that point. Some other things had happened during that time that people got their noses out of joint about, and they were actually more made up rumours in their own.
You're right.
In their own minds, but
that 820 is still going today,
isn't it?
It is.
It's must be really well supported. How many rebuilds?
Ooh, two that I can think of.
Okay, is it still running its original electronics?
Not quite.
Oh, okay. There you go. Hayden can't leave things well alone.
A few mods have been made, yes.
Yep.
Yes. It was funny you say that, because that was when I first started. That was the machine I made my mission to learn everything in it. And that was the one I did.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah,
I stayed here till all hours, making sure I knew where everything went.
Yeah.
So
I remember now, yeah.
Rabbit holes.
Dedication. Far out. All right, let's get out of this one.
Sounds good.
Moved on from the 6-head machine. What other concepts have been considered?
I mean, look, we played around. Probably the next step from there was, all right, we know adding more heads isn't going to work. If you go from 3 heads, you can't take any off. I know you like the 800. Like, I know. It's 4 heads, I know. Tim and I were kind of like, let's just stick with 3. We know what we're doing with that. We really started playing around there from looking at it from performance base more than a change in technology, change in fundamentals, and going, okay, how do we start getting performance? What do we need to change? What are we not happy with on the current sort of 820 machines and 680s and that? What's the next step to get them up and running to where we want? What do we need to do? How do we get more out of these? So that was, I guess, the next drive where we started at that point, and basically started taking an 820 at that point and ripping the guts out of that and starting to play around again with different ratios, different size discs and pulleys, and quite a few. I think there was we had what we call the V1 prototype, which is still out the back in case you want to run it.
Absolutely.
So we played around with that for quite a while, and again that was still fairly early days at that point. And again, you've got to think there was 2017-ish, playing with big blocks in that era. So it was probably 18, 19 before 6-head really got put into place and was run heavily, because I still remember how we put it together. Yep. It was formed before me, but it was a year or two before we put it together. So we're probably still talking 2019 somewhere before we really sat down and went, we're going to do something. And it was really an 820 format, I guess you would call it, was where we were going to start.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily where we finished, but
So so we're talking, I guess, you're looking at it from a mechanical perspective at the moment, and improving on an existing widget.
Mm-hmm.
Once you guys get into the project, you start looking at it from a different perspective. From when you start, I guess, looking at technology and that types of things. Can you tell us some of the things that help shape the direction of where the machine goes to from there?
Yeah, look, I guess there's two sides. When designing or building something like this, you've got the two sides. You've got what's the customer going to want, and then the other side is we actually need to be able to make this. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I always look at things like this, even with the technology side. like I was at World of Concrete last year, and even looking at bigger companies, like we're talking, Caterpillar, guys like that, like, the really big, even mining companies, the technologies that they're using now will eventually filter down because that filtered from somewhere else to them, right? So that will eventually come in to these industries, and whether we're talking some sort of automations, whatever, different sensors that they're using. It sounds silly, but they've got reverse cameras that can sense if there's a person behind it, and make a decision on it. Not that we need that for these, just run them over.
Okay,
but in general though, the technologies will come down, but there has to be companies that are willing to jump on board with these things and actually want to push those boundaries. When you look historically right now, the status quo is kind of there. There's not really anyone pushing those boundaries that heavily. So I think that was probably one of the keys is we want to look at what is out there, like even, line production, things like that. It's the general format now is not put 20 people on a line and have them really highly trained.
Manufacturing,
yeah. It's more of the machinery does most of the work. They just operate it, and that's again, that filtration of it's come down into manufacturing effectively, as you keep, if we keep telling people a manufacturing plant on site, right? So similar thing. It's like, where do these two things overlap now? How does that work?
I guess.
And that's a big challenge.
Yeah. If you look at it that way, we're producing in either if we're doing surface prep, but in particular if we're doing mechanically polished concrete, for argument's sake, we're competing with high volume precision products as an alternative, right? Particularly in tile, and they are not produced by hand anymore.
Correct.
So if you're going to be competing from even on a price perspective, but also from a quality aspect, you've really got to be adopting some of the processes that they are in order to be able to compete with what they're doing, both on a cost and I guess precision basis. And you probably wouldn't feel comfortable walking into National Tiles and they said these ones here were made by hand.
That's right.
With a hand grinder.
You would expect a far bigger price tag on a handmade nowadays, wouldn't you?
I probably expect it's not going to have quite the precision, however, of one that came off a factory line.
That's right.
So yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. You really need to get with the program, don't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
If you want to, even just from, I guess, from the extending or the relevance of the industry itself, in order to ensure that it's going to be there in 5, 10, 20 years, because there's already a lot of competition in the manufacturing of tile, and that's only ever going to mean that the quality is going to get better, and the pricing is going to come down with the efficiencies. And as they're doing that over here in parallel to what we're doing, putting another guy behind another antiquated grinder, it's the cost is going up.
That's right.
And it's becoming irrelevant because it just becomes unaffordable.
Yep.
So develop or die.
Pretty much. I think that's the future of this. It's got to happen at some point. So we're looking at it going, if we're going to make something, let's see what's this going to look like.
Yeah.
How are we going to take some of these technologies? What are the needs that we need to use the technologies for? So that's again another massive part that even still now we're still working through. So it's it's probably one of the biggest parts of the project.
The technology side.
Technology side,
yeah. Okay. So from a mechanical side, do you think that you've probably been able to maximise that from experience, and the biggest gains are going to come from integrating today's technology?
Look, I think when you talk about biggest gains, from a performance aspect, there's limits on everything in that regard. You've got limited amounts of power at the end of the day that you can use. It's not feasible to have something that pulls 200 amps. So there's limitations on the performance there. Obviously, with all the existing gear that we do, all our tooling and everything, all the increases in productivity through tooling, we've accommodated for that. within the machine. So I think from a mechanical, I think we're going to be pretty close to a sweet spot. I'm not going to say maxed out because there's no such thing.
We've learned.
You could build a 50-foot grinder, no problem. You could do it. It's going to cost millions and millions and millions, but big tunnel boring machine is basically that, right?
Yeah.
So it comes down to the feasibility of what does a customer want? What are they expecting to pay for it? What can we fit in there for them, right? When we start talking about the technology side of things, that's probably more of assisting an operator, either whether it be giving them metrics that they require, safety that they need. There's just so many things with the technology. I mean, you're not talking about frequency inverters here. We're talking about beyond that. A frequency inverter is kind of matched up with a motor and it does its thing. Obviously, there's newer technology in them, but the rest of the technology is outside of that. So it's how do we make it easier for an operator to do a floor with the machine they have, but also have it that the operator doesn't need to be as highly trained as they do now. So right now, an operator has to be really, really, really skilled to get a good floor and to read a floor and read what's happening. The machine itself is almost obsolete. It's running. They just need to know roughly what speeds.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, they're two real big challenges for our industry at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is one, the machinery is becoming more powerful, higher producing, and it's becoming heavier too.
Yeah.
So, as an older, experienced operator that knows the ins and outs of the game, we're producing more dust, so there's more manual handling in a day. Bodies are getting older. And basically, we're talking about not just high levels of knowledge, skilled knowledge, but we're also talking about high levels of physical ability to keep up with the game.
Yep.
And we've then got a newer generation coming through, and it's kind of becoming a young person's game from a physical perspective, but from a knowledge perspective, there's not the same willingness. I'm not saying this is across the board, but generalization, there's not as much willingness to learn the craft to the same level.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's not the same hurdles anymore. So you're not forced to learn the same to the same depth.
Yep.
So we're basically stuck with this. We need to be able to get better efficiency, and we also need to be able to require less skill to do it, so that we can get some younger generation coming in with less skill, but we can continue to build the workforce and the capacity of the industry. Yeah, because that's getting harder to do.
See, I wouldn't say less skill. I would say a different skill.
Oh, okay.
That would be my thing, because I think you still need the same skills to read a floor. It's just
I'm thinking more from us old school guys. Got to know
us old school. I'm a young man.
Got to understand pretty much everything. Say we're taking an OG 800 or a Gen 1 820 or something like that. You've got to have a really good understanding of all things power and that kind of thing to run those machines efficiently all day long at their maximum, because it's not giving you a lot of feedback. It's not answering many of the questions for you. You've actually just got to have a really good understanding technically and electrically.
That's right. Yes, that's true. So, and I guess, like you're saying, technology can take care of quite a lot of those, which hopefully is the plan.
Okay.
Let's give a bit more information to the operators so they can, fix their own things on site and know what a machine is and isn't doing. So, it's, that would be our plan.
Did you just tell us something then?
No, I never tell anything.
Oh, come on, give us something. Give us something. So vague.
It's hard. It's hard. So, I'm so used to secrecy. This has been under wraps for so long. I can't let go. It's, That's,
I guess that's something we're going to get used to is, sorry, Hayden, but soon everyone
cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm preparing for that. I'm preparing. It's the phone calls are coming in already. Don't worry. So, no. But look, it's when we talk about where the project started to where it is now, and we're right now at this current time, we're still not still not completely there. We've still got unknowns we've got to tackle. And I have no doubt that, my emails are going to be full from customers saying, I'd really like this, I'd really like this. We're at that point now where we've put it out to the world saying, what would you like? So I'm going to get a lot of requests on that. Hopefully, of which most of them we've already thought about and got in play somewhere. But it's still I don't want to say it's a long road, because it's not a long road between now.
I'd say it's a long road at high speed.
That's exactly right. It's a long road, high speed. But we have we've got a team of really good people on this now. Really good. Probably in the last 4 months, this project's really ramped up with the different teams we've got working on it. So, which has been great, and that's everything from design. We've been looking at this. We've got this prototype that I've been looking at forever. Now. And now all of a sudden, we're starting to see some designs roll through the door, and and all my parts that I've been designing are all starting to roll in the door, zinc plated and things like that. And it's really, really good. It feels like it's just picked up pace. Which is fantastic, because it's been planning and theory for so long that now I actually have parts in my hand, clicking them together, going, oh, that fits nice. So I'm enjoying it.
Care to show us any of those parts?
Oh, I didn't bring my phone with me. Sorry. There'll be some sneak peeks coming out. Once a few things get put together, there'll be. We'll definitely start letting the world know what this thing's going to have. So
okay. So in regards to that, we've gotten to this point now, and. Well, it's all out in the open. We know that there's a machine coming, short time frame. And I guess from here, it's going to become a bit more visual.
Yes.
As we're going to take from this point, we're going to start showing people parts of the machine and talking about some of the challenges of making it, some of the previous concepts. So people can get a bit of an idea of what else has been thrown in the trash.
Exactly right. You're not wrong. It's it takes a lot to do this. So sharing that with everyone's going to be good. Because
if I was an operator, I'd be sitting here going, I don't need that much of a change. I just needed to do this, right? And then I'd be happy. But that doesn't tick the boxes for you and Tim, right? And the rest of the design team. So it'd be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to being able to have those discussions and for you guys to show us some of the technologies that have been looked at, some of the concepts that have been, harebrained ideas, 6-head machines, that kind of thing.
That's right.
And see that in a bit more detail. Like you say, there's a long road, short time frame.
Very.
So the only way to do that is to travel at faster speed.
That's right.
So we're on a very, very short time frame.
We are.
Got a lot to show.
We do.
And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing a whole lot more of this stuff and learn more about the machine.
Absolutely.
And then see the machine.
Oh, you don't get to see that for a while yet. No one gets to see it. Just Tim and I. That's it.
All right. Well, sorry guys, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get anything out of him. I tried
a vault right here.
I thought if we got it without Tim, if anyone's got a 50 out there or 100, maybe we could try again in a later podcast. But Hayden, thanks for sharing nothing with us. Thank you for giving us a bit of background on where it started, where it's all coming from, bit of an idea of what you guys have been through, and I really look forward to being able to uncover a bunch of those concepts and those details, and get a bit of a whiff of what's coming.
That's right. Well, in essence, the customers wanted us to build a machine, so you better start telling us what it is you want.
Okay.
All right.
A machine.
That's not good enough.
I'd say 6 heads.
6 heads in black.
6 heads, one that can drive up ramps without the motors stalling out. Easy manoeuvrability is pretty high on my list.
That's right. No handlebars through walls.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be good too.
That'd be good. That's for you, though.
That's for me.
You're building a machine for you now.
I am now. Yes, that's right.
All right. Well, if you got suggestions, guys, absolutely. You've got a few months to get them in. Hayden, thanks very much.
No worries. Thanks, Roy.
And everyone have a great weekend.
This show is proudly supported by WORX Plus. WORX Plus brings total solutions to all concrete grinding and polishing contractors to make it totally work for their daily operations. We hope you've enjoyed this show. Make sure to tune in each week where we're going to dive deep into all things related to concrete grinding and polishing. We're here to help you so that you can boost your outcomes on the floor.